Before I bought into the Wheel Specialist, I was an engineer. I spent 20 years working for the same company in Bradford, and I were international sales manager, international engineering sales manager. I first found out about the Wheel Specialist, I think I saw a advert in a newspaper, going back 15 years or more. I thought I'd never really come across wheel refurbishment before, and I thought that seems like a pretty cool idea, and made some initial inquiries, and one thing led to another. We visited Birmingham, that was the head office at that time, because there was no franchises up and running. We were number 2 to set up. Manchester was just slightly ahead of us. In the initial stages, we just went to see the organisation at LapTab, and got shown around there, got an idea of what we're doing. One thing that does stick in my mind was that there was a Subaru in there that had come from Yorkshire. That kind of made me think, hey, there must be people prepared to travel from Yorkshire to Birmingham, so there must be something in this business. So yeah, we investigated further and looked at the financials and thought, let's go for it. I was attracted to the thought of working for yourself, but also having the support of the franchise behind you. I'm a bit of a car enthusiast, so I liked the idea of working in an industry that I would enjoy and obviously ultimately make a good living out of it. I initially looked at buying a business, not necessarily a franchise business. I hadn't thought about looking at a franchise. It was a case of looking. I fancied moving away from the work that I was doing, because I got fed up with the continuous travelling. So I wanted to get away from that lifestyle. So I was looking at what business I could buy, and then really stumbled across the franchise just purely as by chance. And then it started to make sense to me having that support, because although I'd been in management, there's a big difference between being in management and being in a company ownership. And it was a nice thought that you'd got somebody with a lot of experience of already owning a company as a backing. For the future, I mean, hopefully we're signing for another 5 years very soon. The future for me, I think, in the next few years is to look at taking a little bit of a back seat, although I do say that, and then I always find it difficult to take a back seat, but ultimately I would like to have a manager in place and a bit, a nice secure team where I can take a little bit more leisure time. It's always a difficult decision to put somebody else in charge of your business, your baby, if you like. I mean, one thing is you always feel ultimately responsible for your business, whether you're here or whether you're not here. And at the moment, I actually enjoy doing what we do. I enjoy I do enjoy the hands-on work, and I'm not quite ready to retire quite yet. What I like most about the being part of a franchise organisation is the fact that there's a wealth of knowledge to draw on, not just from the head office but from other branches. Other branches have had similar experiences when something perhaps potentially goes wrong, and potentially when things go right as well. We can all share our experiences, share our knowledge. It's just a great way to run a business, because you don't feel alone. We do like to get away 2 or 3 times a year if we possibly can. So it does enable us to have that flexibility to go when we want to go and do what we want to do. And if we fancy having a weekend away, it's not an issue. It does give you a certain degree of flexibility. Not obviously, you can't just up sticks and leave at a moment's notice, but it does allow you a good deal of flexibility. In comparison to my previous sort of working life, it was just like everybody else, having to book all this to fit in with the working schedule or other working colleagues. Whereas, having the business myself, at the end of the day, I get first dibs of when to go on holiday, and I can go basically when I like, within reason. The most important thing as regards to taking on the Wheel Specialist is to listen to the advice of the head office, the hub. Ginny and her team have got a wealth of knowledge, and they'll help you 100%, and that's the number one piece of advice. In the initial years, it was a learning curve for not just us, but for the group as a whole. But now, obviously, the support is huge. Not just from a technical and from a marketing point of view. There's just so much in the franchise now, in advice and support. There's really nothing that they don't seem to be able to answer. I'm still massively involved in the day-to-day running of the business, from an hands-on point of view, but also I have a weekly discussion with Sophie with regards to the marketing and the strategy that we're currently using. So it's a twofold thing. I do a lot of the hands-on sort of work, because that's my kind of enjoyment side of it, but then I do set aside time, particularly at the end of the week, where we have a bit of a get together and sort of work out a bit more of a strategic sort of plan between us. I'd just like to say that over the last 15 years, I think I spent a good too many of those early years not really believing the franchisor's advice, and that was a big mistake for me. And personally speaking, the last few years after COVID have been really good for us, but that comes from really taking on board what we should have done many years ago.